So I just got talked to by a well-intentioned older lady whom thinks that they're, you know, making conversation with things that they shouldn't make conversations with. So I was trying to make it to the bathroom and I was walking slow and I moved out of the way so that they could go ahead of me because I didn't have my walker. Stop! Because I didn't have my walker and I wasn't interested in falling going up this hill, right? And she's like, "What happened to your leg? Did you get injured?" And I'm like, "No, my leg goes numb sometimes. It's been like that since I was a kid." And she's like, "But you're so young. How old are you?" 37. It's been like that since I was a kid. And mind you, I was that kid that when it got too cold in the winters, my mom would have to pull out the Tylenol and wrap me up because my legs would hurt so extremely that it felt like my legs were breaking. And we're in the cold season, so my body has learned to disassociate from the pain, and that disassociation actually makes my leg feel numb. I believe a lot of that disassociation has led to the worsening of diabetic neuropathy, because the neuropathy began as extreme pain in my feet, and I mean excruciating pain in my feet, where I used to wear heels all the time and I couldn't even wear heels or normal shoes. I couldn't tolerate shoes for a while. For a while, I spent a lot of time barefoot at home because I could not tolerate shoes at all. And so, stop! And so, yeah. Growing up my entire life, I would get comparison stories, and I get that my mom was trying to relate. But sometimes I think that in her immaturity, she didn't know how to, like, oh, yo también tengo una pierna mala y yo me sigo moviendo and things like that. And in many ways, that was very helpful because I became incredibly resilient, but it was also very harming because her leg problems came from injuries, and my left leg problems have existed since the day I was born. And for the longest time, I couldn't say shit because if I said anything, I was made fun of. Even when the shoes didn't fit right, like they love telling this story of the shoes that my mom got for me. And at the store, she told me, well, it's okay that they're a little bigger because you're going to grow into them, right? And then I wore those to go to Mexico, and the plane was diverted to Guadalajara, which is a couple hours away from where it was originally supposed to go, which is also a couple hours away from our final destination. And so we had to run to the bus. And my cousin just kept making fun of me the whole way of, oh, you wanted to look beautiful and blah, blah, blah. But it had nothing to do with that. And my mom knew that because she knew my leg pain. So thus, the adult that I was handed over to should have known to give me Tylenol so that I could keep walking, because it wasn't the shoes causing the pain. The shoes gave me a blister, but I didn't notice the blister until the next day. The pain in my legs came from the normal, regular pain that I always lived with. And so this lady just reminded me and ignited this in me that for the longest time, even when I go to PT and things like that, I get very frustrated because there's certain things that we can work on, and there's certain things that all we can do is maintenance. Okay, there's so much we can do, and I do forget to wear my insole to stick my insole back in because I'm having to change between the thicker one and the thinner one when I'm not wearing the ankle brace. And I keep forgetting to put the thick one back in when I take the ankle brace off. So it's really frustrating because it does cause some pain in my hip if I'm not wearing my hip brace. However, when I'm just numb and waddling along, it might make the people around me very uncomfortable, like it did with that lady who was walking behind me, but it doesn't cause me discomfort. What causes me discomfort is being made fun of. But throughout my entire life, every time I've had injuries or surgeries or anything like that, that is one thing I learned very clear from my mother. During the times that we are a little weaker, we use our tools like the walker and the cane and the scooter. You use them as much as you need to so that you can build the strength without injuring yourself. And that's where I'm struggling right now, that I've started losing more cognitive function with all these fucking migraines. Because I push myself too far, and I've done that since I was a kid because of the expectations on me. But now that I'm doing everything on my own, and I mean fully on my own, it's the hardest thing I'm having problems with, because I don't want to push myself too far, but I don't feel like I'm being pushed at all. If that makes any sense. Because essentially the best thing for me right now in the winter would be finding a warm pool that I can exercise with in. But I have no one to do with that, and my legs lock up, so I am afraid to go to the pool alone. And I can't do regular therapy because as much as they're giving me these exercise to strengthen, none of them are telling me how to functionally use my body parts. I need to functionally do this. And I was doing that great in the gardens that I volunteered in the groups that I volunteered in, serving people and things like that, where I got to use my brain function and my physical functions when we needed to, like, prepare the bags for the homeless and things like that. So it's really frustrating when elders make these comments. No amount of age is going to give you a perfect body. And maybe you didn't notice the quirks in your body when you were young, or maybe you and your family believed those quirks were normal. At least in our family, my quirks were normalized, but I was that kid always freaking out the other kids, letting them harm me so that they'd get freaked out, so that they would stop harming me. And I know that sounds contradictive, but essentially, can you get off so I can find my tissue? Why are you always laying on what I need to find every time? I know that sounds contradictory, but essentially, if they saw that I didn't have fear or pain for the harm that they were causing, eventually they would give up and leave me alone. And eventually they would stop using me as a punching bag, because after my cousin stabbed me with a fork on my burn on my arm, his mom whooped his ass, and none of them fucked with me after that. That wasn't on me. I didn't rat him out, but essentially he got caught doing it. What the fuck, Bella? That's why you were growling at me, because it was stuck under the blanket? Don't huff at me. I'm sorry. So she's dealing with all my internal frustration at that comment, but essentially it that comment just reminded me of how alone I've been with my mislabeled and misfunctioned body my entire life. But even with my eye, like, they say that my eyes are good and blah blah blah, but my eyes wandered since I was in high school, I think, maybe before. And I tried playing sports. I tried doing volleyball. I tried doing soccer. I tried doing basketball. I tried doing all the sports. And it was either the fact that I would get really, really dizzy trying to follow that ball and run when I was doing soccer or basketball, or it was that, like in dance, my left ankle was always, I was always getting twisted ankles. And I would spend more time on the floor than I did actually doing the spins, because as soon as I'd get on my tippy toes, my ankle would roll and I'd fall to the ground. And kids would be like, well, that's not normal, obviously. But no matter how much I would tell my mom, like, I remember my brother's girlfriend actually gave me my first ankle brace so that I could at least do track. But even then, I didn't do it competitively, because during practice one time I passed out when I was running, and I was afraid of that happening again. That's when I was diagnosed with asthma. However, I don't think that's all it was. You know, now that I'm older and I know more about dysautonomia and the effects of our entire body and the disconnect with bodies that are made differently, especially one like mine that has done things like this. But it's very frustrating, because now they're just telling me that, you know, some people are just trying to say, well, you're just making things up for attention and blah blah. No, I've been complaining about these things since I was a kid. No one listens because essentially I was still functional and I was resilient. I was stronger. I didn't need help, but I did. I did need help, and that's why I would ask. And when I didn't get it, I knew I wasn't going to thrive in that particular space, and I would switch the space, trying to find a space where I could thrive. Essentially making it seem like I was overachieving when I was not overachieving. I was desperate to be able to function, and I was overdoing, and I wanted my mom to be proud of me, and I wanted to also be off her radar so that I didn't get treated like everybody else. But at the same time, I was very, very neglected throughout my life. And those particular things are because she knew, this is what I mean, she knew how much pain I was going through. And it was just, when it was just me and her, it's different. Like, the person I get when it's just me and my mom is not the person that I get when my mom is around other people. It's not the person that I get when my mother is stressed out. It's not the person that I get when my mom is sick. Because no matter what anybody else's needs are, we're expected to fill them. And it's not a reciprocal thing when she has other people around. It's not a reciprocal thing if she believes that I'm not going to listen to everything that she says I need to do and blah, 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 blah. And that's the thing. That if that's the only way your parent is willing to help you, this kind of shit that the elders do when you're out trying to reconnect with the world is a constant reminder of what you had at home. And it was like, well, that's why you need to be in therapy. I am in therapy. That doesn't mean that people's commentary is not gonna bother me. And it's not even, it just hurt my feelings because essentially even now I'm doing my movements. I was walking just fine. I'm just limping because it's cold. And she felt the need to say that I'm too young for that. I was too young when I was 5. I was too young for it when I was 10. I was too young for it when I was 15. I was too young for it my whole life. So if that makes me less than or crippled because you don't see the functionality in the movement that does exist, because that's essentially why I can't find a job, because they see me limping. It's why several people who have gone out on dates with me have not called me back after the first date. And it's like, you guys want to talk all your shit, but essentially this is what you get. You guys admire and even find me attractive. A lot of people are like, oh, you're so hot because of what I can do despite. But when you realize the reality of what it is to be around somebody who is functionally different, and I'm not saying crippled because I don't feel crippled. I still do as much as others do when given the opportunity. Y'all don't know how to act. When you actually, the idea of me is one thing, but the actuality of what it is to be me, oh, that tears you motherfuckers apart, where you got to make your commentary to make yourself feel better. She didn't need to say that, but she needed to make herself feel better. She needed to dig in a wound that she didn't understand existed. And that's why I didn't get into it with her. I'm just like, no, that's just something I've had since I was little. I'm not going to correct you. I'm not going to make you feel comfortable for your comment. I'm just going to keep walking in the direction I was going. Sometimes people, yeah. And I don't know what to do about that. No amount of therapy is going to change people's assumptions about what they see. Because everyone I've ever met wants to fix my leg. But unless you can give me the like inch or two that I'm missing, you're not going to be able to fix that. Unless you can make my hip stop moving out of place permanently, you're never going to fix that. And since I'm not going to get surgery to add on, because it's not causing me pain right now if I don't hurt it, My limping doesn't cause me pain. Sometimes my limping is literally just how I walk. It's why my older brother, before he died, used to call me Waddle, because I waddle when I walk. Sometimes it's more tired nowadays, but I have a lot more injuries to my spine. And though I'm getting treatment for my spine, it's not covered by my insurances, so I still pay out of pocket. And if I can't pay for it, then both legs go numb. And then we have me falling to my knees often. But essentially, insurance companies would rather pay for drugs to keep you drugged up than pay for treatments that keep you functional. I'm having to explain the medical reasons to be able to get the refund for the money, even though when I first put this claim in, when I first paid for it at the beginning of the year, they told me that I didn't need all the paperwork I sent originally. Now I'm going to have to look for the paperwork because I had already requested it because I knew it was a necessity to explain why I needed the treatments. The lovely insurance company. Shit. The lovely insurance companies. Well, now I'm in the dark. But anyways, this is just a reminder that if you see a handy-capable person, don't be an ableist with your commentary. Don't ask questions that you don't actually want the answers to. And when you do get answers that surprise you, don't tell people that they're too young to be carrying something that they shouldn't. We know that our bodies are too young to be going through what they're going through. But at least for me, these are some things that I've been going through for a very long time. And y'all just didn't notice because I always found ways to either treat myself, or I was always learning from other people so that I could fix it myself, whether it was a finger out of place or an elbow out of place or a shoulder out of place or a hip out of place. I was always getting help. And this is one big thing that separated me and my ex, because he wouldn't stop making fun about the fact that my hip would fall out of place when we were doing things. And he would think it was funny when I'd get terrible cramps when it wasn't in place, and I would start screaming for him to get off, and sometimes he'd keep going. And this is a type of thing that creates a breaking of trust in relationships, whether it's romantic relationships or friendships or even family units. You lose the trust of the person, the disabled person, when you make fun of them or when you make commentary to try to make yourself feel better about asking a question that you were not prepared for the answer. So just keep that in mind. I'm not the type of person that's going to make you feel comfortable. If you open that can of worms, you're going to get an honest, authentic response, whether you like it or whether it makes you comfortable at all. I love you and have a good night.